Thank you, foreign technology, for automotive use. It's also really great for mass energy storage, which is our primary focus. But we want to get people excited about hydrogen, right? So the other thing that you can use a lot of power for is huge acceleration and huge top speeds. And that's what this vehicle is all about. This is the XP-1, and what it does is basically deliver a lot of power to all four wheels to achieve a very, very fast 0 to 60. Actually, 2.2 seconds and a very high top speed over 200 miles an hour. This communicates why hydrogen is so good for automotive, right? And what you can do with a car like this is you can refill in 3 to 5 minutes. And what's unique about that is that this is actually an electric vehicle, not unlike most other battery-powered vehicles. You guys are familiar with this. It will actually have the same torque on those motors. It will have the ability to. And that's what hydrogen is all about. Hydrogen stores electrical energy in the bond between the hydrogen molecule itself. What this will do is it'll take the hydrogen, it'll inject it into this engine, it'll pass by a plate. That plate is called a fuel cell plate, right? That's going to be a membrane electrode assembly. It's going to have a catalyst on there. That catalyst is going to have a reaction with the hydrogen, right? It's going to separate on the anode and the cathode side, and there's an electron that's going to charge the vehicle. The more hydrogen passes through, the higher the power is going to come out of this engine, and that power will actually move these wheels. And this car will actually go from the hydrogen energy and it recombines the oxygen on the other side of that cathode to basically create water. So, hydrogen, if you imagine two hydrogen atoms sort of locking arms together as a molecule, separating, releasing an electron, and then recombining with oxygen to make H2O, the only byproduct is actually water from a vehicle like this. So in many ways, it's powered by water because the way that you actually create high hydrogen in a green way is taking water and using a process called electrolysis and splitting it up from its basic form into hydrogen and oxygen. So now you're creating oxygen and hydrogen. The hydrogen, you can actually use in a vehicle like this, and now you have a green, total closed-loop system. It becomes water again, you create hydrogen again. This engine can actually last 3 times longer than most hydrogen engines, and that's because there's a very, very cool catalyst technology that preserves the platinum. It does not allow it to degrade as quickly, and that is why this is so unique in its engine form, not just because of the raw power, but also because of its durability. This car can go 1,000 miles, you can refill in 3 to 5 minutes, and the engine can last over 1,000,000 miles because of that catalyst. And that's the very exciting things that we're doing here in Columbus with some exciting partners that we want to be announcing very, very soon. We'll talk all about that locally here too. Part of what we want to do here in Ohio is build more stations, to build that infrastructure so you can ask, what's different? Number 1, the cost has come down. Number 2, we have this unique technology that's much more durable and a product that's been able to produce things since then that are actually viable, that people can purchase and drive today. What you can do with hydrogen instead of having to duplicate a battery over and over again for when you store something on a very large scale is actually just have a larger tank. So large tanks are very cheap for hydrogen. So what you can do, for example, you take wind, you take solar, which takes energy very irregularly, and you can basically create a bank. Imagine like any bank you can go to store your money. So now you're storing electricity. Today, big energy companies want to build solar shape. Now wind is not expensive either. They want to build bigger solar farms, but it makes no economic sense because there's no way to store the energy. When you introduce hydrogen as the energy storage mechanism, now you can store huge 100 to 100 megawatts all the way to gigawatt range with this type of technology. And that's exactly what we want to do. That is our focus, to decarbonize the world by creating a bank of energy that could be used. And energy companies are excited about that too, and we're going to be announcing some cool stuff with them as well in the future. So yes, we will provide that full service range. One thing though about the car, and it is exciting, there are a few features that I want to point out. You know, not only does it look as cool as we want it to look, the whole idea and our theme is like space technology for the road. Now, that's not arbitrary. We don't just like the way that sounds. This actually has some really cool stuff in it. And we do work with NASA on a number of things, right? So there are several commercialized technologies that we're actually using from NASA that are in this car, and they are pretty cool. And we'll give a self, one for storage, one for power management, and a few others are going to be announced a little bit later. But one of them, actually, is this wing, specifically. This wing is adjustable. I'll tell you why. Number 1, it can adjust for aerodynamics. It can break up the flow of air around the car, so you have active aerodynamics for handling and cornering. So this will actually move in this orientation. The other thing is, everything that it does, because it moves, it allows you to actually bits to hit different angles of the sun. Why? Because this actually is a solar wing, specifically. So it has a very unique NASA technology called multi-junction solar, and that allows you to basically have 3 times the energy capacity, the ability to grab that energy in a much smaller surface area. The main takeaway from this vehicle is it does have some really cool engine technology. You can see right here. There's some cool technology that we're going to introduce later that are also part of this car that are going to be a separate announcement. But when it comes to car design relating to fuel cells, the magic sauce is all about the chemistry,